I was watching a movie on TV, streaming video, and I'm old school and also old. I love the movies made by Alfred Hitchcock and all of the older movies, um, which were quite a production. And by that I mean, unlike today, where I guess they're striving for either um, realism or cheap, I don't know, or a combination thereof. Uh, so when they have night scenes, it's so damn dark you can't see anything. I'd rather than put some lighting in, and I'll just imagine that it's night. Um, but it brought to mind how much like YouTube videos or telephone videos, TikTok, whatever device you're using to create a video and then post it somewhere. Um, so I don't know whether that's a case of the art becomes the reality or the reality becomes the art. I don't know. But my point being is that we're, um, to some degree, uh, content providers. That is, we produce something that somebody else supposedly wants to watch, whether that be on TikTok or Facebook or whatever. um, so, what is reality? You know, um, of course, when I was growing up back in the 50s, um, what little TV we had was all live broadcast and some black and white on a screen about this big. Um, so um, everything for us was pretty real. Um, our only trips to fantasy was what we read in books, like Alice in Wonderland or whatever. So, at any rate, the problem with us all being content providers is I guess everyone has their own agenda or message that they're trying to convey. Or in my case, a lot of it is to provide um, something about myself that my family and my grandkids can maybe get some kind of handle on who I was once I'm gone. Um, but the complication is in our world today where videos um, are often made for purposes not clear to the viewer. So it becomes an excellent tool for propaganda, misinformation, uh, to the point where it gets to be difficult to know what to believe. A lot of you watching this are not old enough to remember people like Walter Cronkite, um, back when news broadcasts were really news broadcasts. You get a little bit of that today in National Public Radio, but even NPR is bowing to commercialism, and everybody needs the money, 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 money. So it's very difficult. And for kids, uh, unlike myself, you see my shirt disappearing because it's pretty close to the color of my background. That may be a point I'm trying to make here is what's real and what's an illusion. Um, what is my point? Well, I guess my point is we need to be critical about everything. I went to a college that was an old land grant college, meaning a small college in the southeast of the United States. And back when I was in college, I graduated in 1976. It's nothing like what colleges are today. Back then, they would have never entertained the idea of having a multiple choice test. Everything was an essay. And those of you who are old enough to remember that we were given these what were called blue books. They were about 20-page paper bound notebooks that we would take our exams with. Everything was an essay. The only thing we were allowed to bring to those exams was a dictionary. And you get an automatic failure if you had a run-on sentence or some serious grammatical mistake. But at any rate, one of the graduation requirements from that school was several courses in philosophy. And one of those classes sticks with me. That lesson took pretty good. And the point was, the lesson was that if you want to test the veracity of a statement, take it to its logical extreme. For example, back in the day when it's been in the 70s, they instituted a nationwide 55 miles per hour speed limit. This had to do with the gas crisis we had caused by problems in Iran. And that was sold to the public as being a safety thing. So let's use that lesson in philosophy and take it to its logical extreme. If reducing the speed limit from 70 to 55 is going to save lives, and if that were the objective, then we ought to lower the speed limit to 0. Then nobody would die in a traffic accident, right? So that's an example of following things to their logical extreme. And you can apply that to almost anything. And I'm not going to labor the point any further. You get the drift. So there's very few things in my life that I consider to be absolute truth. And one of them is the simplicity of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And it's not just to make you a goody two-shoes, but it has to really do with the state of the world. If we would all do that, we wouldn't have wars. We wouldn't have famine. We wouldn't have all the problems that beset the world. And in so much as we can practice the golden rule on a personal basis, then that's like yeast in bread. It spreads. Its effect goes beyond just the effect on me. It goes to the people I touch, and if they take up the same philosophy, then it spreads further. There was a movie that came out a few years ago called Play It Forward, which sort of illustrates the point, although that had a very sad ending. So I guess my message today is let's do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So I wish you well and a good life and all the good things.